quickly, and the boulder asks, "I can feel your tainted aura from here. Who the hell are you?" Rian replies with his name and added, "What's your problem? I didn't do anything." "You didn't do anything yet," he says as he glares at Rian. Rian asks him why he is still alive even after he lost in the second round. The boulder tells him God didn't kill him because he is too strong to die, and a lady who is standing beside the boulder tells Rian that the God game is entertainment for spectators, which is why some strong ones are left alive to make the future rounds more fun. Rian is shocked as he wonders why Sarah, who managed to take him and Shinjin on, didn't catch God's eye. He starts to wonder if he is stronger than Sarah. The boulder starts telling Rian he is looking forward to crushing him in the future. Before he finished, Rian kicked him in between his legs, and everyone was in shock. He follows with a punch, but unluckily for him the boulder stops the punch. Holding Rian's hand, he cracks it and then smashed him on the floor, and repeats it still holding Rian's hand, telling him he started it. After repeatedly smashing him on the floor, he throws Rian up and prepares a punch. While landing, Rian quickly snaps out as he spots a weak spot. He dodges the boulder's punch and hits him before landing on the floor, making everyone amazed. Should I run? He asks himself as he thinks of the reward for facing the boulder. He summons confidence and charges at him, fighting differently, dodging his attacks, and even managing to hit him a couple of times. "You think I'll let you walk away after that? You are dead," the boulder says as he powers up. As he charges toward Rian, a guy with dark shades rushes in and asks them to stop, threatening to punish them if they keep this up. A guy wearing glasses interrupts them and the boulder asks who he is. "Who else? Just another guy playing the game." He replies with a smirk. The boulder asks him to get out of the way, and he tells him they've both landed each other some pretty hits, and since Rian is injured and can no longer fight, the boulder should claim the victory. Refusing to heed, the boulder charges at the guy in shades, who knocks him out in a blink as Rian and the others stare in shock. He goes to Rian, who thanks him, and they introduce each other, the guy named Yun and his partner Kayla, who have both been watching the fight from the start. Yun asks Kayla to assist Rian to the infirmary, with Rian shocked that there's an infirmary in the game. Kayla goes to Rian and heals his injured arm. Rian tells them it is nice meeting them and then blacks out. Rian wakes up to the girl who he helped fight the boulder, telling him he is something that even though he is not strong, he still has something that other guys in the game don't have: guts. Kayla says as she joins in, telling him his gutsy behavior can get him killed if he keeps it up and he can't always depend on God to heal him. Kayla is right, and Rian agrees with her, thinking back to when he sacrificed an arm against Jiren and when he tried to jump off the game in that same round, telling himself he has to stop making moves like that before his luck runs out. The girl finally agrees to join his team, saying he knocked down the boulder, which was their deal. She asks if he had another teammate, but he replies he's not sure as he thinks of Shinjin. He asks for her name, and she replies Era Park. Era helps him up and he thanks Kayla for helping him by asking about Yun so he could also thank him properly, and she takes him to Yun. As they go to meet Yun, Yun jokes around a little before heading to the point, telling him to abandon his friend Era and join him and Kayla for the third round. After thinking for a while, Rian declines Yun's offer, telling him he's been promised to another team already. "I only see 2 members. Who are the third member of your team?" Yun asks. Shinjin comes out of nowhere saying he is the third member. Yun jokes with them a little and leaves. As they leave, Shinjin tells Rian that Yun is the second strongest person he's seen in the castle. Rian asks about the first and Shinjin promises to tell him when they run into the person. He asks who Era is as he turns towards her. She stretches out her hands and introduces herself as the third member of the team. "You chose without consulting me," Shinjin says angrily to Rian, who replies that he didn't even know Shinjin would partner him. Era interrupts them, saying they seem to get along, and tells Shinjin he won't regret having her on their team. Shinjin agrees and asks them to follow him. Era asks where they are going, and Shinjin tells her Rian hasn't learned how to summon his weapon and he wants to teach him before he turns dead weight on the team. And Rian follows happily. As they reach the training sports, Shinjin begins lecturing him, telling him to remember the sensation he felt when he summoned the weapon in the first round. Shinjin further explains to him that to summon a weapon he must have a defining feeling, conjuring the emotion, and calling the weapon will summon. Era, who is surprised that God didn't teach Rian how to summon his weapon, summons her own. Rian is amazed and asks what is the feeling she felt, and she tells him it's longing. Rian tells them he and God didn't talk about weapons and that he was handcuffed in the first round, which Shinjin and Era are shocked to hear. Shinjin tells them he hasn't heard of anyone being put to such disadvantages before and adds that Rian even went the whole round without his weapon and his eyes. Rian asks what he was trying to say and he replies that something is off about Rian's situation, that it's either God Rian to die or he is too strong, so God is trying to suppress his strength somehow. Rian tells them that it's Nit, as Era laughs at him after what Shinjin said. Rian asks what Shinjin's feeling is when summoning a weapon and he replies rage, and also tells Era if she knew why she'd understand as she tries to mock him. Shinjin asks him to go through his past if he can find any feeling. Era agrees, saying it's a cool move, and Shinjin tells Riin clearly that he won't be teaming up with him if he can't find a way to summon his weapon, cause his weakness would affect the team. He also added that he told him this before the second round. Hey, isn't that a little harsh? Era says as she tried to defend Riin, and Shinjin replies harsh is making 2 million souls fight each other in a death game for entertainment, and further added that if Riin can't summon his weapon then he's destined, with Shinjin stating clearly that he's not going down with him when there's potential to find monsters like Yun. Era turns to Riin and tells him he can do this since he has surprised her once. Riin gets into deep thoughts as he tries to find a feeling in his memory. Era is excited as Riin finally summons his weapon, telling him he blacked out and started laughing. He didn't respond to them, which made them worried. He asks how long he was out for, and Shinjin tells him 3 hours, and asks what his defining feeling was. With tears in his eyes he replies bloodlust, and Shinjin looks at him with shock. Riin tries to defend himself, saying that's not who he is, but Era cuts in, saying he doesn't know himself and none of them does. He starts wondering how bloodlust became his defining feeling. He got up and tells them it doesn't matter what his defining feeling is, that in the past, however, he acts in the future, it will be because he has changed, but Shinjin tells him he can't change the past, that's not how it works in the game. As long as he keeps slaying the enemies, he doesn't care, and tells him not to lose himself. After everything, they begin training for the next round, the training which is described as grueling, in which they spared, worked on their moves and skills, and also improve on their strategy. An hour before the next round they are called back to the hall. That's him, Shinjin says and points towards a wild-looking man, the strongest one here, he continues. And Riin admits that of all the frightening opponents he's seen in the game, none of them has frightened him like this one. Riin asks Shinjin who that is, and he tells them he doesn't know his name, and from the look of it, he doesn't have any partners. He's going to round 3 alone. Is he crazy? Era says in shock, and Shinjin tells Era that he's not crazy but is confident he can kill everyone in the game. Neo and Yura appears and announce the beginning of the second round, telling those who are ready to proceed to the next round. Neo asks the strange guy if he is enjoying as he heads to the next rounds, and he tells her she is annoying, saying he can't wait to sew her mouth when all this is over. Didn't it seem like they know each other, the goddess and that guy? Era says as she watches them from afar, and Riin replies saying they all meet Neo before coming to the castle. There's no point in dwelling on it, let's go, says Shinjin as they all head to the next round. As they are about to go in, Yura asks if they will be a team for the next round, and they all replied yes, and he asks them to proceed, while Neo wishes them good luck. As they walk through the door to the next round, Riin asks Era if she is nervous, and she replies no. As they are about to open the door to round 3, Shinjin tells Riin that managing his nerves is how he'll survive. As they open the door and go in, the whole place is dark, and Riin says he can't see anything and asks Shinjin to give them a light. Shinjin tells them to wait a moment, that it seems they are in a cave, and another voice replies them saying they are in a cave, and the lights go on. A monkey-looking figure appears. Riin asks if that is a monkey, while Era says he looks human, and Shinjin says shit. Era furiously asks Shinjin if he knows him, and he replies yes, and seeing him we are in trouble. He's Sun Wukong, the Monkey King, he adds. Glad you know about me, Wukong tells them with a wild grin. Welcome to round 3, I will be your facilitator, and the game you will be playing is Capture the Flag, he tells them, pointing to a flag in front of him. Wukong tells them Neo got into trouble, so he was brought in for the third round, and asks them if they aren't lucky to have him as their new facilitator. Let's see if you can impress me, he tells them. He asks them if they like games as he tucks his finger into his hair and brought out a long staff. Riin stares in shock, wondering where he brought the staff from. Era replies saying she does, while Shinjin tells him to get on with the explanation. He gives the rules